All right, welcome to another episode of Let There Be Talk. It is Monday, February 28th. Welcome aboard. Great guest today. We've got a fantastic musician, singer, songwriter. Mr. Anderson East is here today. And I first kind of found him from in a coffee shop or somewhere. A song came on. I Shazammed it. I was like, this guy's voice is amazing. Who is this? I thought it was going to be some old artist, an old R&B Motown artist that I'd never heard. And no, it was Anderson East, and I immediately fell in love with his music, started listening to him. And over the years, he's put out some fantastic music. Great, great artist. Got a brand new record out right now called Maybe We Never Die. He's worked with the great, great Dave Cobb, my favorite producer over the last 10 years. And he also has co-wrote songs with the legendary Chris Stapleton. He's worked with all kinds of great people. And it was just incredible to sit down and talk to this man. Lots of cool music talk here. We even get into a little pinball talk. He's got a vintage pinball machine. And we talk some comedy. Great guy. Hoping to meet him one day in person and see his band live. He's out on tour, so go see this guy. Check out his records and spread the word. And thank you, Anderson, for doing the show. Before we get into the episode, just a couple things. I will be in San Diego this weekend at the Grand Comedy Club, Friday, March 4th and March 5th. Tickets are at deandaleray.com. Also, there's some merch still left. The merch is almost gone. I'm going to give you a heads up. Get on it right now. There's a little bit of merch left. deandaleray.com. You can get the Gertie shirt, the last of the collector's items, Dark Fonzie shirts, and the Dean Del Rey Perry Shawl shirt. So those are on the website. And I just dropped episode 122 of Let There Be Talk bonus episode on Patreon, patreon.com/Dean Del Rey. Greatly appreciate all of you Patreoners out there. Means the world to me. Just had somebody just now sign up. Who was it? It was Alex Moore. Thank you, Alex Moore, my man. And thank you, all of you Patreoners. Kick ass out there. It was a great week in Vegas. Unreal audiences. People are starting to go out. It's starting to feel a little better. It was great to see people laughing. And the rooms were full here at the Comedy Cellar this last week. Comedy Cellar in Las Vegas. What an epic room. Worked with some great people. Rich Voss was on the show, which I interviewed him for an upcoming episode of Let There Be Talk. Very funny guy. Been doing comedy 37 years. And a staple in that New York scene. So you'll hear that pretty soon coming up. I guess that is about it. You can hear all my podcasts at cactusradionetwork.com for absolutely free. Everything's there for you for free. One website. Get all of your podcasts. At Home with Byron Katie, Let There Be Talk, The Grail, and the 13 episodes of Dark Fonzie, which, by the way, The Grail, brand new episode out. Gertie's here by my side. Co-partner here, Gertie. How are you, Gert? My dog, Gertie. I hope you guys have a smile on your face. I know you're going to enjoy Anderson East, his story, and his music. God, it's really good. All right, here we go. Let's get into the episode. Oh, I love all you guys. Keep the candles lit. Mr. Anderson East. All right, welcome to another episode of Let There Be Talk. Great guest today, Anderson East. How are you, buddy?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm out here in Los Angeles. Where are you at?
I am in Nashville, Tennessee.
What are you, in a studio? You got a studio?
Yeah, I'm at the studio at the house, kicking my feet up, enjoying this beautiful day.
Nice. I see you got like a vintage 68. What is that, like a Fender Deluxe Reverb or Princeton or something?
Yeah, it's actually a pretty new one that Fender gave me a few years ago, and Supro 16T, and the old Benson Chimera. Shout out Chris Benson.
Nice. You got a pinball back there. What's that?
Man, that's an old, I think it's called Bow and Arrow. It's like a Cowboys and Indians game.
Yeah, I know that one. I love pinball.
Me too, man. Super fun. I had to get rid of a few. They weren't going to fit in here.
Yeah. I just want to have one. I just want to have like Evil Knievel or Kiss, one of the old ones, you know.
Yeah, man, I tell you, the new ones are super fun.
They're so good.
They're crazy. Like the new Guardians of the Galaxy game is radical.
Oh man, I love. I had Gary Stern on, who's the owner of Stern Pinball.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I had him on the podcast, and he's been in pinball since the 1940s or something when it first came out. His dad and everything. So the history of pinball is just fascinating to me because there's nothing cooler when you're younger than going to the arcade and they're playing rock music and you're just in your own world. You skateboarded there, you BMX bike there, you got in, you got maybe 4 quarters that you stole from a couch in between the cushions, and you had to be good because you only had $1, you know?
Right. I like, it's like I can't remember where the hell I heard this, but it's like one of the few things that like, they talk about the zone, like you get into the zone.
Yeah.
Like apparently like it's a very common thing with pinball. Like you're able just to kind of, I don't know, lose your own self inside of the game too.
Yeah, I believe that. I think when you're young and playing pinball, all your kind of teenage angst just go away because there's so much confusion. Even now in life, I think that's why adults go back and play it. They're like, I just need to get away from these bills, and they dive in because pinball, of course, during COVID, bigger than ever.
Oh, really?
Yeah, people were getting them at their houses,
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I love the engineering too, man. Taking the glass off that thing and just, the people that came up with it have to be out of their minds.
Yeah, Butch Walker's a friend of mine. He has the Bionic Man, which I grew up on the Bionic Man. And it's kind of a rare one. You don't see it a lot, but it's so cool. Just the artwork. It's right up there with album covers. To see these big back glass of whatever it is, it's like, oh, there it is, Bionic Man. And then it has all the little things on the play field that have to do with Bionic Man, like Bionic Woman, Oscar Goldman, all that crazy shit of old school.
We had the Elton John Captain Fantastic.
Love it.
When we were kids, and that artwork is incredible.
You guys had it in your house? Yeah,
we had it in the basement.
Wow, that's so cool. My buddy Ross Robinson, he's a record producer. He has that one still to this day. And Joust, you know that video game Joust?
Yeah. That's fun, man.
Yeah. I got to tell you, man, it's funny to think I have a huge place in my heart for what I call soul rock. I growing up played music, so I always wanted to either play rock and roll or metal or soul rock. And my love of soul rock, of course, being people like Terrence Trent D'Arby.
Oh, yeah.
Prince, Sign of the Times. These are really iconic records to me. And over the years, even stuff like that movie, The Commitments, making me just obsessed with that kind of a bigger band, horns, R&B flavored singing, but not your standard R&B, a little rock edge to it, And I was sitting in a Starbucks or somewhere, and that Find 'Em song came on. 2015, I Shazammed it. Shout out to Shazam, because boy, do they helped me find a lot of artists. Back in the day, you had to talk to the dude at the cashier at the record store, and then he made you feel like shit. So now, Shazam, and your name comes up, and I put that. It was a 2-song kind of little thing, a sampler on iTunes with Satisfy also. And I put it in my top 10 of the year years ago, and then been following you ever since.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah. How do you get into that sound? Were you into rock before, or what was it for you?
Yeah, I was kind of musically deprived, I think, growing up. There wasn't like a live music scene, or I was the only kid, so I didn't have older brothers and sisters to go steal their music or anything like that, um, and so I was pretty much just a product of like gospel music and whatever was on the pop radio at the time, and um, so pretty much then anything I could get my hands on was just like this musical currency. And then, I got a job at a Sam Goody when those still existed. And so I would just, funnel my paycheck back through there and just get as many records as I could. And then, learning about, Muscle Shoals and everything that was just like 20 minutes down the street, and kind of the weight and importance of all that. And but when it came to like starting to make music, it was never like in the forefront of my mind of like this is a direction I wanted to go or anything like that. And so it just so happened to be like the songs that I was writing just lended itself to that. And I think there's always this kind of this common thread running through all of that, whether it's the gospel music or singer-songwriter type thing, country music to soul music and R&B. It's all easy to just kind of, follow that same strand all the way down. And so it was just natural of what the songs were that were coming out. Yeah, that Find 'Em Fool 'Em song, that was we went down to Fame Studios right when we were making that record. And, Rodney Hall was nice enough to just like let us sit in there and like go through all these archives of like unheard stuff of, like the Swampers were like, I guess like the first kind of, I don't know what you call it, just like hired band. So even if they didn't have like an artist there to cut a record with that day, like they still had to show up for work and make something. So they were just cutting these like monster tracks of like whatever was top 40 on the radio, like Neil Diamond songs, just like Swampers that are just sitting there. And that song, that George Jackson song and Rodney's dad, Rick, wrote ages ago. I remember we got done cutting it, and Rodney was on the phone with his mom and goes, "Mama, tell Daddy I got him another cut."
So that was like somebody else wrote a song and it was just shelved?
Well, I didn't know it at the time, but there had been some other versions of it recorded. But to me, this was brand new, and the version that I'd heard was just kind of acoustic guitar. No, it was kind of done up. But yeah, it was this thing that I thought that I'd struck gold and was the only one to have it, and I was sorely wrong.
Well, it got me into you, and I immediately noticed it was like David Ruffin to me is one of the greatest of all times, and the Temptations, that era of that high impact kind of up tempo Motown stacks R&B, because of course everybody had these ballads. And in the Motown world, and ballads are the key essential to me in this music. But when you got a great up tempo kind of R&B soul song, it's really hard to do, actually, when you think about it. There's a handful of them that are like classics, and then the rest are all ballads. So when I heard it right away, it grabbed me. I was like, this is fantastic. And like I said, been into it ever since. Never got to see you live, but one day I will for sure. Now, when you started writing your own songs, of course, there's the singer-songwriter thing, but are you writing on acoustic, or do you build a track in the studio? Because a lot of these songs feel like, something that you build from the bed tracks to get the whole vibe.
I think with, I'd say a majority of the time, it's just like acoustic guitar or piano, just do like a simple little like iPhone recording. And then, we would, as a band, to sit down, hash through the arrangements, and then just go cut it. And usually that's what would wind up on the record. This new record was a little different, just because, there was a day and time to where we couldn't necessarily be around human beings. And so it was, I had to kind of experiment and learn some things, and on how to, and also too, I usually hate demos because you get tied up in like one thing that's really good, and you're always trying to get back to that place no matter what you do. And so usually we just leave those alone, but on this latest project, I was kind of just writing to the track and trying to like end the day with something that could be heard on a record.
How does somebody, I always wonder this because there's a few different routes of getting a record deal or getting noticed, but how does somebody like you and this type of music, it's not, say, quote unquote, the classic band that's out, touring and grinding it in clubs and doing demos and shopping stuff and then getting the deal when the A&R guy saw them. But how did it happen for you? Were you just writing songs at your house, or were you actually in a band or a few bands before and gigging? How does it happen?
Well, I started out as a studio engineer.
Wow.
And, I was always, playing instruments, writing songs, attempting to sing, but it was always just because I had such a love for recording. And so that everything that I did revolved around ultimately just like, how does it translate into a record? But yeah, I was working at a few places in town and just kind of playing random shows wherever I could get them. And then one night I got asked to play at the Bluebird Cafe, which is Songwriter place in town. And yeah, I had a few beers, and finally I was like, y'all, I need to, take a piss. So I stopped and made everybody wait while I went and pee, and, show's over after a little while. And this guy comes up and introduces himself, says, my name's Dave Cobb, and I make records here in town and would love to figure something out. So we just kind of became like super close friends, and hit it off there. And he helped me start making that first record. And, I had no idea, what the hell to do or anything like that, or just figured, hell, we'll make this record and hopefully we'll have something to sell at these, little shows or whatever. And that just kind of snowballed. We finished that project, and then it got picked up, and then we just have been on the road ever since.
It seems to be all the records I really are in love with in the last 5-6 years, maybe 7, have been done by Dave Cobb. And he has, to me, become the Rick Rubin now, meaning in a trust factor, where back when Rick would do records, I didn't care who it was. I just bought it because I knew that Rick's, meter for good art, there was a reason he was working with the band. He was never doing it for money. Of course, he got big money, but he wouldn't go into a studio with just some band he didn't care about. And look at, Dave Cobb, who I've been trying to get on the show for years, just because I'm obsessed with his incredible track record of who he's brought to my ear holes, Stapleton, Rival Sons, all the stuff. He's Marcus King and all the stuff that he's worked with that is just unbelievable. And I do think he's getting ready to work with Warren Treaty. I'm not sure on that, but this guy's a killer, man. And making records the old school, just great sounding way. It's wild, his track record, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, he's like a restaurant you go to and you're like, everything on the menu is going to at least be interesting and good.
Yeah. So you are starting to work with him. I don't know his length of career because I start hearing about him from the Rival Sons, of course, who are great friends of mine, a fantastic band. But 2014, 15, right in there, 2015, That is early on. Was he
Yeah, like
new?
Pressure in Time, was that the record?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, I love that
And
stuff.
you're like, whoa, man, these are some fantastic rock tones. But then, Chris Stapleton, the sounds he's getting when you go in and start working with him, was he unknown? I mean, known in town, but was he? I mean, I don't really know about him until Rival Sons, and then he seems to have gotten just humongous.
Yeah, so I guess like him and Shooter Jennings had done some stuff. God, I can't remember the name of that record.
Oh, that one with Denim and Diamonds. Oh my God. It sounds like a Pink Floyd country song. Unreal record.
And so Dave was out in LA doing that kind of stuff and moved back to town. And I guess that Rival Sons record was already out. And when I met him, they were working on Jason Isbell's Southeastern record.
Right.
And I think like Sturgill's Meta Modern was like just about to come out, something like that. So it was like, right as all this kind of stuff was happening. So we were making that Delilah record right around then.
Did he seem to, I mean, obviously he knows what he's doing, but was he just kind of experimenting on all these different sounds, or did he just have a clear vision of like, yeah, this is what I want to do, and I know the sound you're going for? Or were you guys kind of shaping the vibe of Anderson East over the last few records?
I think to Dave's like strong suit, like he just always does what the song needs. With me, it was just kind of just about like doing what was right for the song. Like we did this one track that I'd recorded ages. It was super old song, and he was like, "Man, let's give that a shot." He was like, "I got this idea. Let's just speed it up a good bit and try this whole other treatment." And I was like, "Man, I don't know about this. This is, I don't think so." And so we tried it. It didn't really. It was mainly just my own, just being ridiculously reserved about it and was just pushing back. And so we moved on to this newer song that I was really excited about that I'd just written, and we did that, and it was like, fuck, this came out amazing. It was so good. And then he did this little mind trick on me to where once he had kind of proven himself, he's like, well, let's go back to that other one. And sure as hell, we cut it, and it was like, damn it, you were right. So, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna at least walk down the path with him and see these kind of things through. So yeah, I think all the music is definitely this balancing act of knowing where you're going, but doing your best dance while you're getting there, kind of thing. And he plays that super well, and he knows how to get involved when he needs to, and then just let the person just be themselves, like that. Talking about the Rival Sons, like, oh my God, what's that one song? Like
oh yeah. Oh God, it's great.
That song?
Jordan.
Yes.
Jordan.
Yes.
Yeah.
And and you can talk to Jay about that, of just like, that was one take. And the whole time Jay's like, just let me do it again. Like, let me get that out there. And Dave's like, that was it. That's all you need, that one time. And that, like, to me, that's one of my favorite songs of all time. And, I think of Jay as like one of the best vocalists that's ever been. And, but, just to have the balls to tell that guy you're done is pretty incredible.
Yeah, I mean, there's got to be a magic with that man. And I do know that there's producers that have these great runs, and they have a knack for finding the fire out there and bringing it in and wrangling it. And eventually I think people, they get a little like, all right, I had the run, like the Glenn Johns, Andy Johns kind of run, the Ruben, like I said, there's a lot of guys, Bob Rock, where they have this run and they have this flow. And it's funny to think, because Cobb, I keep thinking like, when's he going to put out the dud? And it's not going to be Cobb's fault, but I'm just saying it's funny to think about. My collection is heavy Dave Cobb right now. And I didn't even know that he did your stuff until later on, of course. At first, I'm just listening to your record, Delilah, I'm like, this is great. And then one day, because of the stupid streaming, there's, you're not really seeing who did what. I think that Tidal is the only one now where you can flip the record on the streaming and then it gives you the credits and who played on it and the artwork and like an old record. But then one day I just decided to Google you and I was like, oh my God, Dave Cobb did this record. Of course he did this record.
Well, he's got it, again, it's this two sides of the coin thing. Like he's incredibly gifted, but also the people that he's working with are incredibly gifted as well. You could have, Chris Stapleton singing in tongues if you needed to, and it would still be really incredible. But just to marry those two things with like the attention to detail and the raw talent is, I asked him about, we went down and we're doing this session down in Alabama, and we're kind of talking about just how much to prepare for something. And he I don't remember how it got to this place, but it's like, nah, man, you just got to walk in there with room for magic, and that kind of thing's really stuck with me.
Well, yeah, look at Rival Sons. They go in the studio there with no songs.
Crazy.
That's crazy because you're laying it on the line because there's money involved and there's people's time, especially like Cobb now. He plays with Stapleton, guitar and stuff. So he's gone long periods of time, but there's people's time. There's record labels breathing down your back of like, well, can we hear the songs before you go in? It's like, there are no songs. It's like, that's unheard of. And that is the trust and the magic of yourself and Cobb's room. And like you said, the vibe going on.
Yeah. I couldn't imagine doing that. There's no way. I would literally melt having no song to just be like, have any confidence walking in there and just hoping that that's the day that the muse is going to show up and help you with your little project. It's like, good luck.
I know, right? So
but they pull it off.
That 2 weeks you marked out on the calendar. Here's when the songwriting magic's going to come.
Right. I know it.
It's so ballsy, Now, you did some writing with Stapleton. Was it just one song, or did you guys write some and didn't make it on there, or how did that happen?
There's one on the first record. I think there's a song called "Quit You" that him and I wrote. And then on Encore, we had two. We had "King for a Day," which was also with his wife Morgan, and then we wrote. I think If You Keep Leaving Me on that record we did together. And
Devil in Me is on the first record.
Right.
And how did that kind of writing session go down? I've wrote with people over the years and it just kind of happened to be by a fluke, like somebody's there and you're working on a tune and they're like, hey, maybe try a bridge here or whatever. But did you guys actually go into the studio, sit down and just start strumming guitars, or how does that session type work?
That's kind of the culture here in town of like, most like writers, they do like, 2 or 3 sessions a day. And just kind of people usually have their camps of folks they like working with, but, the writing, at least, here in Nashville is very much like a job. Like you show up, that's your job that day is to write songs, which I think is a really incredible way to work too, just to, focus in and zero in on the task at hand. But yeah, so we just had, a couple days and, Chris is just as good a writer as he is singer as well. And he's so fast and quick with everything. And so, I mean, those songs are some of the like ones that just fell out, And so there's really no kind of overthinking it. You kind of walk out of there going, is this a good song? I mean, again, like Chris could be singing in tongues and it would be a great sound, song, but is the thing able to live on its own? And luckily enough, they did. at least up until this point.
It's funny. I saw him on 60 Minutes recently. I think he said he wrote 1,000 songs or something like that. And I played music for 25 years. And I think there's a couple ways of going about it, but I always wrote for a record. And some people sit around and just write and write and write and write and write. And next thing you know, but I always, to me, songwriting's so strange. And I talked to AC/DC about this, where you look at a band like, say, AC/DC, and they've got a zillion records out, and you put a record out, and then those songs maybe never get heard again. Say just a couple on the record, let's say. They never get played live. That's it. So it's so weird. They're pieces of the puzzle of an album. So you think about like AC/DC, you're like, well, they never played Can I Sit Next to You, Girl? This is one of the great songs. It's wild to think about that, right? You're writing all these songs for a record, and some may never see the light again. Maybe one tour, but never again. It's really wild.
What do you think? I'm curious of like, are there going to be records in like 5 years?
Right. That's what I think, because I think we're going back to the 50s of the Buddy Holly, Big Bopper, Richie Valens era, where it was just, the singles. And then they would put the tour together and it'd be like, here's these three. And you love 3 of their songs. You got to think about that tour when they went down. I think each guy was playing 20 minutes, and it is a weird world of the TikTok, the 1 minute, the ADD insanity. And it's too bad too, because like I recently watched this movie, The Power of the Dog, and it's this beautifully shot, slow grinding movie. And I put up on my Instagram, this is a masterpiece. And then people, so slow, couldn't get into it. Nothing happened at the front, and it's the grind of the superhero movie and the TikTok, and everybody wants instant gratification. I don't even think Apocalypse Now would even be made these days. They'd just be like, this is too long and slow. And it's so weird. So yeah, that's a good question. And the amount of work and money that it costs to put out a whole record.
Yeah. And the emotional cost.
Oh my God, the emotional cost. You're like, nobody heard song 8. It's like, I worked on that for a year.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. It's really wild, because I'm a comedian now, and people are like, when are you going to shoot your hour? And I'm like, I just want to shoot 15 minutes. Yeah. Because why would I put an hour out there when I know people are looking at their phone? And there's people that are just texting and talking to their friends, missing. And the way a record works is like comedy. A record works in sequencing, where you're taking somebody for a ride. I mean, that's the thought process of it. Right. And same with comedy. You're starting, and then you're going through this hour, and you might have some callbacks, and it's like it's a journey. And people don't take the journey anymore, which is a real drag. And I enjoy the journey,
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I think you're totally right. I'm trying to like find like the positive in it though, because you got, these avenues now that people, we can assess that people have this shorter attention span, and, comedy wise, like somebody like Andrew Schultz or something, getting the start on YouTube clips kind of thing, to where it was, and then you just kind of fall into this playlist. And then after a while, it's like, not only did I watch an hour special, but it's like, I've been watching this shit for 2 hours now. Yeah. It's in these little digestible things. So I'm like, well, that's really incredible that somebody with that talent is able to kind of gear their thing to what the system already is, to really capitalize on it. So, and I'm seeing like, I'm just really questioning of like, where is the music? It always seems like music is the last thing to catch up,
right?
To all these like technological advances and, the way it's consumed. So yeah, I'm just really curious of like what the landscape's going to be, a year from now, 5 years from now, and like where value, kind of comes into music in that kind of way. Cause like you said, it's easy to digest, but it's really difficult to make if you want to.
What's funny too is if you think about it, comedy, you got an hour and you cut it all up into clips. So 2-3 minute clips. That's the length of a song.
Right.
But the people don't take the journey on the song, but they'll be tricked into I'm not going to watch an hour of this guy's comedy, but I'll watch this clip real quick. And it's funny to think how country started to even adapt to that. I noticed the pop country, they just got rid of the pre-chorus. So it'd be a real short verse like, I'm out on the farm today. And then all of a sudden, honey, you broke my heart. Big chorus, right. Just 2 lines on a verse and then right into a chorus, no pre-chorus. It's like, whoa, what happened there? It's wild. It almost feels like a Pro Tools edit. Like, let's get rid of this pre-chorus here, get right to it. Like ear candy.
Yeah. I mean, what do they say? Just shut up and get to the chorus.
Yeah, I know. But it's so funny. Like I was listening to Marcus King. There's a song on El Dorado, and he does a whole first verse, and then kind of a little interlude, then back into the second verse, and then pre-chorus, chorus. And I was so attuned to a chorus coming in after the first verse. I forgot about the old 70s format where the chorus will be there pretty soon. Don't worry. But when it went to radio, the chorus came right in, and I texted him. I go, "Oh, a little radio edit." He's all, "You had to do it."
Yeah, I'm a big, and R&B and soul music. Usually, all those they start with the hook.
Yeah,
just get it out of the way, and then you can do whatever you need to.
Yeah.
There's something cool about that, of just. Having the ability to manipulate the craft like that, to where it's just like, okay, we know how the structure should be, right? But then, I also just love those records of people that you're like, it just sounds like they don't know what they're doing, and like in a very complimentary way. It's like it's just so free. I'm trying to think of like a good example. Somebody like Frank Ocean or somebody, God, I can't think of any good examples right now, but just to where it's like, this doesn't make any sense, but it makes all the sense in the world, and it's not trying to be a song; it's the emotion of it that's just so enthralling, captivating that you can't. That's a thing you can't learn, is that childlike curiosity and just exploring. Just listen to like that first Fleet Foxes record, and they do a lot of that kind of stuff. And you're like, what section do you even call this? Is this like the third bridge?
Yeah. I get it. Even bands like Metallica, and Justice for All record. I was listening to it yesterday. I was out in the desert, and it's just kind of like, how do they even remember this? There's so many parts that are put together on this, but it all makes sense. But here these guys are, before there were any rules in their mind or blockage. Mm-hmm. They're just going, yeah, then we'll go to this, and then we'll try this D part, and then let's go halftime here, and then we'll go into a double up speed thrash thing, and then a chorus, then we'll go into a solo. You're like, what the fuck? It's really wild when you're younger doing music. And I think it's different with comedy. With comedy, you'll take way more chances the further you get into your career. Because at first in comedy, you just want to make people laugh. You think that's what it is. I got to make these people laugh, man. And then you get into like, nah, it's not about the laughs. It's about who I am and my voice.
Right.
Where with music, you take all kinds of chances at the beginning of your career, and then maybe you have some success, and then you don't take any more chances. A lot of artists, they just kind of keep making records. And I get it. Also, maybe the drive or the fire is gone. Where comedy, it's always like, I got to find that next joke,
Right. And too, like, that's, you got to go do it to get better. Musicians, it's all like, let me keep this hidden and, refined until I finally present it. It's this big unveiling thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're not out at a club just writing a song on stage. Where comedy,
Right.
you're writing the joke on stage as it goes over the few 6, 7, 8 months, which is wild, right?
Man, I remember I played this show. There was this guy in Augusta, Georgia, that had this venue at his house. He had like converted their downstairs. It was called Downstairs Live, but they converted their basement into this like maybe like 150 seat like stadium style seating with like a little stage, and they would usually do kind of just like singer songwriter nights, but they would cook dinner for everybody. It was this really hip thing. But he calls me, he's like, "Hey man, would love for you to come play the show." I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely." Like, they actually paid you, and like it was, put you up, fed you. It was really good. And then I get there and he's like, "Anderson, you're going to be opening for a comedian tonight." I was like, "What are you talking about? Like, how is this going to work?" Like, man, I don't think this is what I drove all this way here for. But I get up there and sing my sad bastard songs, and then I'm sure I'm going to butcher her last name, Lynn Coplitz. She's a New York comedian, and it was the first time I'd ever seen live stand up. And this woman gets up there for 60, 90 minutes and murders. And I was like, what in the world? Like, it blew my mind. I was like, that is the highest form of art that I've ever seen, just to command such attention with just a microphone. Like, I was blown away. And like, ever since then, I'm like just obsessed and so jealous.
I got a lot of my comedy inspiration from seeing people, even like Jeff Buckley. You see Jeff Buckley, and these songs were so sad and dark, but in between, he's just riffing funny ass shit,
Yeah.
And people like Tom Waits,
Yes,
that guy in between songs is unreal. So
his Letterman interviews,
oh man,
devastating.
Yeah.
I've got the book like Tom Waits on Tom Waits of just like all of his quotes. I mean, brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
I remember there was a point where Jacob Dylan said to me, we were touring, we're great friends. And when I did like my last tour, playing music years ago, opening for him. And then later I had him on the podcast, and he goes, well, it kind of made sense because, no disrespect to the songwriting, but it got to the point where the stuff in between the songs at the show were better.
Right,
and
right.
I think there was a point in my mind, I was like, I wanted to think maybe I'll go out and do some kind of storyteller tour, because I worshiped Rollins, Henry Rollins, and he'd go up there and just talk 3 hours and you're never bored. Just, I don't even know how you do that. I write comedy, and that's tight stuff of just bam, 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 bam. But he tells stories and you're on it. You're in his stories. It's just, it's amazing. It's an amazing thing. But I think the solo tours of like a Neil Young and a Springsteen, and that whole thing back with the MTV Unplugged, where you were getting these cool stories and finding out who the people are. That was a big inspiration to me, for sure. When you're out, do you communicate with the crowd? Because there are these artists that don't say anything to the crowd. And I like it both ways. I like the mystique. The mystique is really gone these days, unfortunately. But I like old school mystique, but I also do like to find out who the person is,
Yeah. I feel like I've gotten to where I talk less, mainly because I'm trying to literally just cram as much material in that 90 minutes as possible. I think the main thing, like I just try to make sure everybody knows that, who the band is, and incorporate them. And that's kind of my main focus. When we were starting out, I was definitely much more of a talker. And, nowadays it's like, I'm just going to probably keep my mouth shut, because usually what's rolling around in my head probably doesn't need to be said through a microphone.
People with I got you. I heard what you said. Yeah. Somebody up there, they're like, you should vote for such and such. You're like, oh, you just lost a fan. It's like, you're just not going to win, so unless it's something you deeply believe in,
Right. I don't believe in anything that much, but I mean, I can remember one night, like we were watching like a Richard Pryor special before the show, and I guess it somehow just seeped into me, and I guess I did stand up for maybe 10 minutes. And that 10 minutes I was murdering. I was having so much fun. And I look back and I was like, oh my God, what the hell did I say? But man, you should check out my buddy Aaron Ratier. He's one of the funniest people in the world. And he's kind of a mix of Shel Silverstein and John Prine, storytelling songwriter from Kentucky. But he's just the wildest storyteller I've ever met in my life, man. And he just murders crowds.
Oh, that's cool. That is cool. I will check that out. Let's talk a little bit about the new record. It's out. It's definitely a different sounding record. It's further away from a Stax Motown thing, right? And kind of more what's going on these days. I mean, this Jet Black Pontiac song, that's way off the grid for Anderson East. I love that song.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, it's I listened to that thing like 3 times in a row. I was like, wait, I gotta listen to that again. Like this, I would have never known that was you. What was the vibe of this record? Was it let's definitely go further?
I definitely wanted to just kind of spread out and sonically explore, mainly because we were just in this holding pattern of like when the world was gonna come back to life. And we had started the record just before like the everything kind of fell apart. And so in that interim period, I was just like, man, as crazy as everything is on the outside, it's like I just want to have a good time. And songs like Jet Black Pontiac and Falling. It was kind of just I'd gotten this new
drugs.
Yeah, I'd gotten this new piece of gear, this fractal amp modeler, and it just has like all this wild stuff on it. So I was just like, I just want to play with this thing and see what comes out of it. And so that song, like all the crazy ambience is just a bass guitar, all this manipulation on top of that. And I'm just I just wanted to have a good time. While there was not much of a good time to be had.
Yeah, might be your last time. That's what we all thought.
Exactly.
It's just like, it's over. It's over.
But yeah, it was really strange too, because like everything I was writing, before all that was kind of like this. It was like oddly predicting. I'd had like this working title that it was going to be called "Love Songs for the End of the World," and then once everything happened, I was like, well, that's a little too on the nose at this point. So we're going to have to readdress that. But then afterwards, it was like, okay, well, let's just have a good time here. And so it's this, this balancing act between those two mindsets while we were working on it. And finally, it was just like, well, let's just go with this. And back to like the demo thing, it was, if I was just going to, be sitting around writing, I might as well just be trying to get to the end product. And, later we brought, we tried to, reinfuse the human element, back into it and find that balance.
I don't know. Are you out touring right now or what's going on? I saw you were on Ellen. I saw that recently. Are you out able to tour or what's happening?
Yeah, we started back, when was that? I can't even remember now, man. It's we've been out. We've been out quite a bit. I want to say we started, I don't even know what month this is.
I don't, dude, I'm the same way, man.
February. I was like, I think we started in February, but no, it's February.
Yeah.
I have no idea. It's been we've been out for probably 4 months, 3 or 4 months now.
And what size venues you guys do? You do I think you did the Troubadour here, right?
Yeah. We did 2 nights at the Troubadour. That was kind of, y'all had some pretty heavy restrictions in place, and we had to just kind of get in where we fit in. But we did 2 nights here at the Ryman here in Nashville, and
rad.
Just did Webster Hall in New York, and 930 Club.
Oh, great.
DC. And so yeah, we've been bouncing around, and then a couple months ago I had the run-in with the vid, so we had to cancel some shows. So we start back up next weekend and do makeup dates.
And how many piece band do you tour with?
Let's see, 2, 3, 7 of us.
Wow, 7. Yeah. What do you got? Horns or something? Keyboards? What do you got?
Yeah, horns, keyboards, bass guitar, and drums.
Wow.
And me.
And do you just lead sing, or do you play instruments up there?
I play some guitar. I've been lucky that I don't have to pick it up that much. And our guitar player, Jimmy Green, he's incredible. And yeah, everybody in the band is just top notch, man. It's the best we've been playing since I can remember.
I'd love to see you guys tour with St. Paul and the Broken Bones. That'd be a fantastic tour, I think.
Yeah, I love those guys.
Yeah. It's funny because their new record is definitely outside the box of their sound also. Both you guys kind of delivered these records that aren't the standard sound that we would think from you. Their new one is really out there. It's like, wow,
Well, those dudes are so talented, and I believe they did it with Matt Rossbang. I want to say they may have done it in Memphis. I know Matt just got built a beautiful new studio out there that I'd love to go check out. But Matt worked on a couple of records of mine, and but yeah, man, those dudes are, Paul's
insane.
Unreal.
Paul's insane. The first time I saw him on the first record, I went and seen him in LA at the El Rey, and I was like, what is even fucking going on right here? And the thing that really excited me, and this happened a couple nights to me too, I went to see this incredible band called Houndmouth.
Yeah.
Oh my God, so fucking good. There seems to be, and I said this on my podcast a couple of days ago, I was like, I'm in this venue, and it sold out, and I don't know anybody in there. And I know a lot of people in town. I've been here 20 something years. I'm going to run into somebody I know at the gigs, at least 10 people. I'm at like St. Paul, I'm at Houndmouth, and I'm like, who are these people that love this great music? This is incredible. I get all excited. Like, oh, fuck, people listen to great music. It's wild. Yeah. It's wild. Yeah. Like you doing 2 nights at the Ryman. I'm excited. Like, yeah, that's fantastic.
It blows my mind, man. I'm like, yeah, there's better stuff to do. Sure.
But I'm just saying, we're just wrapped around in if you're driving around town, it seems like there's like 5 artists that people listen to. Mm-hmm. And I'm using the term artist real lightly. There's 5 people that people listen to or talk about it all the time. And then there's a million people playing music right now. I always tell people there's so much good music out there. I can't even keep up. I got it all on my phone. I keep it under notes. Like, here's the new shit I'm loving right now. And it's incredible. And getting back to talking about how, Andrew Schultz, but also with musicians, how we can get stuff out there as a comedian or a musician now. We have all these great avenues. So I'm definitely not one of those, get off my lawn old guys. I'm always just trying to figure out how you can get that clicking, and, the old algorithms. Oh God, I got to get into that, all that weird shit, but it is definitely amazing time to be playing music. But I also think it comes down to old school grassroots, like fans really telling other fans, this is great stuff.
Yeah. What's, and I don't really know anybody's business beyond my own, but, I'm not a big internet fan. That's just not where my heart is. But it's just so strange. It's like you show up every night to put on a show, and it's like, there's people there.
It's so strange, right? Or they're not.
Yeah, that's true.
I get a lot of, you just, somebody will call you and go, yeah, we want you to come out and do this gig. How about 5 shows? I'm like, 5 shows? Do you can you get look, I'll try to get people there, but I'm good for 1 or 2 people wise, like 5 is like pretty damn these days, because that's kind of the club mentality of comedy touring. You come out, you do 1 Thursday, 2 Friday, 2 Saturday, and it's like, that's like 1,000 tickets.
Yeah, that blows my mind.
Yeah,
We go to Zany's here in town all the time, and
great club.
It's so good, so good. But I'm just blown away. I'm like, y'all are doing 2-3 shows a night, and usually it's kind of very similar material. Like I would be getting so lost, and just keeping my like, have I done this joke already? Or
that's the brutal one. Yeah,
nuts, man, nuts. But yeah, I think just watching comedians here over the past few years is kind of like just kind of pioneering this whole like podcast space and this digital world. And I think it's really inspiring. And, again, like music's not always the first thing to break through that, but it's really interesting to see how, y'all will help, lead a path.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think that it'll be interesting to see where it goes, like you said, and see what kind of time we can grab from people, attention span wise. But who knows, maybe one day people might just get an internet burnout. We haven't had the internet long enough where you could burn out on it. I mean, I don't watch any TV. People still love TV, so they haven't really burnt out on that, I guess.
Yeah, but I think, it's been really encouraging, just being on the road and, meeting people and talking to folks that are coming out. And like, some of these shows, like this is their first foray back into public, back into like being around other human beings. And, for me, that's, it's like we've been trying to get things going for a while now, but, also that somebody would kind of get out of their little bubble or their comfort zone, and they want to go experience music, and it means so much to them. And, and it means so much to us and to everybody involved, and having this kind of symbiotic relationship with everybody in the room. And, it's just, you can't fake that. That's, for me, during COVID, when I was seeing all like the live streaming stuff like that, it's like, it's good that people are making art and connecting with people, but it's like that real thing, you can't fake that.
Even for a true people hater, there's people out there that I fucking hate people. I think that they're ready to get out. Like, you think you hate people because of the grind every day. But once the people were gone, and unless you're a true conspiracy theorist, like off the grid person in the desert or the mountains, once the people were gone and you were told to be in your house for COVID or whatever, I think people were missing even just an engagement of going to get a cup of coffee or a diner or something, just the back and forth of like, I'll have 2 eggs over easy. The other person like, okay, hash browns. You're like, yeah, hash browns. They walk away like, oh man, I talked to someone today. It was just a breakfast order, but really wild, right?
Yeah, it's nuts, man. It's nuts. I'm just so grateful that the wheels are starting to feel like they're getting lubed up and moving again.
Yeah. Well, thanks for doing the show, man. And congrats on your record. I've been a fan of your voice and your songs for a while now. And it was funny. Somebody pitched it to me to have you on the show. I said, absolutely. Because it was like, most of the people on the show, I know some way and get a hold of them, and I didn't know you, so I didn't know how to get a hold of you. So I never had you on the show. So it was, after all these years, it was great to finally have you on.
Well, thanks, man. I greatly appreciate it. And it was great talking to you. Hope we do it.
Come to LA, hit me up. I'll come to the show. And if I'm at Zany's, come down and see me do some comedy.
Hell yeah. I'd love it. That'd be great, man.
It'd be cool to see you, man. And tell everybody where to find you. You got a Instagram.
Yeah, just Anderson East, wherever you want to go. I mean, we do a little Instagramming and website and all that fun stuff.
New records out right now. Maybe We Never Die. And check out all his records, Encore, Delia. And tell people about the music out there, people, because that's how we keep spreading it around. Thank you so much. And have a great week, brother.
All right, man. Well, you do as well. Thanks.
All right. I'll see you soon.
All righty.
Later.